You treat your body like a dumpster, Sarah. My husband mocked me at dinner with his ex. I watched him flirt while eating the food I cooked. That night, I packed a suitcase, took my son, and left through the back door. He didn't even notice until his credit card was declined. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here with me today. Before I begin my story, grab a warm cup of tea and get comfortable. I'd love to know what time of day you're watching this video. Please comment M for morning, A for afternoon, or E for evening. Now, let me take you into this story. You know, Sarah, if you actually put in half the effort Tiffany does, maybe I wouldn't be embarrassed to be seen with you at the gym. The words hung in the air, thick and suffocating, right over the roasted chicken I had spent 3 hours preparing after a 10-hour shift at the office. My husband, Travis, sat across from me, swirling his wine glass with that arrogant tilt of his head I used to mistake for confidence. Next to him sat Tiffany, his ex-girlfriend and current fitness inspiration, looking like she had just stepped out of a magazine cover, picking at a single leaf of lettuce on her plate. I felt the heat crawl up my neck, a mixture of shame and a sudden, sharp clarity. It wasn't just a comment. It was a public execution of my self-esteem. Travis, please, I said, my voice barely a whisper. I glanced at our 4-year-old son, Leo, who was happily oblivious, pushing peas around his plate with a fork. Let's not do this in front of Leo. Tiffany giggled, a sound like breaking glass. She placed a manicured hand on Travis's forearm, right in front of me, in my own dining room. Oh, don't be so sensitive, Sarah. Travis is just trying to motivate you. We were just saying how easy it is to let yourself go when you hit, well, your age. Metabolism slows down, right? I am 38. Tiffany is 30. Travis is 40. But in this moment, they made me feel like an ancient relic they were dusting off just to mock. Travis laughed, leaning into her touch. See? She gets it. Tiffany respects her body. She treats it like a temple. You treat yours like a dumpster, Sarah. I mean, look at what you're eating. He pointed his fork accusingly at the small slice of garlic bread on my side plate. Carbs at night? Really? No wonder none of your old dresses fit. I looked down at my plate. I looked at the hands that had signed the mortgage checks for this house, the hands that pay for Travis's personal brand photoshoots, the hands that wiped Leo's tears and cleaned this entire house because Travis was too exhausted from his imaginary career as an influencer to lift a finger. I worked all day, Travis, I said, my voice trembling but gaining a strange, new edge. I'm hungry. You're always hungry, he sneered. That's the problem. Tiffany here runs 5 miles before breakfast. And what do? Sit in that office chair counting money? Someone has to make the money, Travis, I shot back. It was the first time in months I had snapped. The room went silent. Travis's eyes narrowed. His ego was a fragile thing, and I had just poked it. Oh, wow, he said, his voice dropping to a dangerous, mock-hurt tone. Here we go again. The money card. Just because you bring home the paycheck doesn't mean you're a woman, Sarah. A real man wants a woman he can show off, not a bank account that eats too much. He turned to Tiffany, shaking his head. See what I deal with? She thinks buying the groceries entitles her to be lazy and fat. I honestly don't know how I stomach it sometimes. Look at you, Tiff. You're glowing. God, I miss the days when I had a partner who actually cared about standards. Tiffany beamed, soaking up the adoration that was contractually owed to me as his wife. You deserve the best, Travis. You really do. I watched them. I watched my husband of 10 years flirt openly with his ex-girlfriend while eating the food I bought and cooked. He looked at me with pure disgust. And in that second, something inside me didn't just break, it died. The part of me that was desperate for his approval, the insecure girl who felt lucky that the handsome gym owner wanted to marry her, she vanished. I stood up. Where are you going? Travis barked. We aren't done. Bring out the dessert. Tiffany said she might have a tiny bite if it's fruit. I didn't answer. I walked into the kitchen, but I didn't reach for the fruit bowl. My heart was pounding against my ribs like a trapped bird, but my hands were steady. I walked past the kitchen, down the hall, and into the bedroom. I pulled the suitcase I had bought 3 weeks ago out from the back of the closet. I hadn't admitted to myself why I bought it then, but I knew now. I packed essentials. My laptop. My passport. My jewelry. Then I went into Leo's room. He was sleepy, rubbing his eyes as I lifted him up. Mommy? Shoo, baby. We're going on an adventure, I whispered, wrapping him in his favorite blanket. I carried him out the back door, bypassing the dining room where the laughter was getting louder. I could hear Travis making a joke about my granny panties. I walked to the kitchen counter one last time. I took off my wedding ring. I placed it on top of the pile of dirty dishes Travis had ignored for 3 days. Next to it, I placed the supplementary credit card I let him use. I walked out into the cold night air, buckled Leo into the car, and started the engine. As I backed out of the driveway, I saw them through the lit window. Travis was pouring more wine, laughing, completely unaware that his ATM, his maid, and his punching bag had just resigned from the position. If you are listening to this and you have ever felt small in your own home, please help me by liking this video and commenting the number 1 below. Let me know that I am not alone, that you are with me on this journey. Your support gives me the strength to keep telling this story. Please, comment number 1 now, and let's continue. The highway was a blur of orange streetlights and darkness. My hands gripped the steering wheel so tight my knuckles were white. In the rearview mirror, Leo was fast asleep, his soft breathing the only sound competing with the hum of the tires on the asphalt. I wasn't crying. That surprised me. I thought I would be a mess of tears, blinding my vision, but instead, I felt a cold, sharp focus. It was the kind of focus I used when closing a major deal at work or navigating a crisis with a client. I was in survival mode. As the miles put distance between me and the house I paid for, my mind started to drift back. I needed to understand how I got here. How did Sarah, the CFO of a growing marketing firm, the woman who managed million-dollar budgets, become the woman who let a man humiliate her over a slice of garlic bread? It went back to who I was 10 years ago. I was 28, smart, successful, but deeply insecure. I had always been the big girl, the one with the great personality but no dates to prom. Then I met Travis. He was a personal trainer, physically perfect, charming, and for some reason, he chose me. He made me feel special. He told me he loved my curves. He told me I was beautiful. I was so starved for that kind of validation that I ignored the red flags. I ignored that he never had money for dinner. I ignored that he forgot his wallet on our first 3 dates. I ignored that his gym was failing because he spent more time socializing than managing the books. I wanted the fairy tale. I wanted to be the wife of the handsome, charismatic man. So, I bought it. I paid off his business debts before we were even engaged. I bought the house. I funded his lifestyle because I thought that was the price of love for someone like me. My phone buzzed on the passenger seat, jarring me from my memories. The screen lit up with a photo of Travis, a picture I took of him on a beach vacation I paid for last year. I didn't answer. It buzzed again. And again. I glanced at the clock. It was nearly midnight. He wasn't calling to ask where I was. He wasn't calling to ask if Leo was safe. I knew exactly why he was calling. I let it go to voicemail. Then, a text popped up. Card declined at the bar. What the hell did you do? Fix it. Now. I look like an idiot in front of Tiffany. I let out a short, dry laugh. It was so absurd it was almost funny. He didn't even know I was gone. He thought I was just in the bedroom sulking, or maybe he thought I had capped his spending limit again as a punishment. He had no idea I was crossing the state line, heading toward my parents' house in Ohio. Another text. Sarah. Stop playing games. Verify the charge. We're trying to order a bottle of champagne to celebrate Tiff's new promotion. Don't be a jealous cow. I reached over and turned the phone off completely. The silence that filled the car was heavy, but it was peaceful. Mommy? Leo stirred in the back. Are we there yet? Almost, baby, I soothed him, my voice cracking slightly. Go back to sleep. Grandma and Grandpa are going to be so happy to see you. My parents. I hadn't told them everything. They knew Travis was difficult, but I had hidden the verbal abuse, the financial leeching, the constant degradation. I was too ashamed to admit that my perfect life was a lie. I was ashamed that my father, a retired mechanic who worked with his hands his whole life to send me to college, was right about Travis from day one. He's a show pony, Sarah, my dad had said at the wedding rehearsal. Brilliant coat, but he won't pull the plow. I pulled into my parents' driveway at 2 a.m. The porch light flicked on before I even turned off the engine. My mom must have sensed something. Mothers always know. When she opened the front door and saw me standing there, holding a sleeping Leo, with a suitcase behind me and no coat in the freezing winter air, she didn't ask questions. She didn't say, I told you so. She just opened her arms. I'm done, Mom, I whispered into her shoulder, finally letting the first tear fall. I'm finally done. Inside the warm kitchen, with Leo tucked into the guest bed, I felt the adrenaline crash. My dad sat at the table, his face grim. He doesn't know you're here? Dad asked. He doesn't even know I left the state, I said. He thinks I'm just in the other room, refusing to authorize his champagne purchase. Good, Dad said, his voice hard. Let him think that. Tomorrow, we get a lawyer. A real shark. Not one of those strip mall attorneys Travis uses for his traffic tickets. I nodded. But as I sat there, sipping the hot cocoa my mom made, a cold realization washed over me. Travis wasn't just going to let me walk away. I was his paycheck. I was his lifestyle. When he realized the ATM was gone for good, he wasn't going to be sad. He was going to be dangerous. The next morning, I woke up to a nightmare, but not the one I expected. I expected angry voicemails. I expected threats. What I got was a calculated public assassination of my character. My phone, which I had turned back on to call my office, was exploding with notifications. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, they were all blowing up. Sarah, you need to see this, my friend Jessica texted me. Don't engage, just look. I opened Instagram. Travis had gone live an hour ago. The video was titled, My Wife Kidnapped My Son, A Father's Heartbreak. My hands shook as I pressed play. Travis was sitting in Leo's empty bedroom, holding Leo's favorite teddy bear. He looked disheveled, his eyes red-rimmed, a perfect performance. I don't know where they are, he choked out, wiping a fake tear. I came home from a business dinner, just a quiet dinner with an old friend, and she was gone. Sarah has been struggling with mental health issues for a while now. She's been paranoid, jealous, imagining things. I tried to get her help. I tried to be supportive. But last night, she just snapped because I had a female colleague over. She took my boy. I just want my son back. Please, if anyone sees her, call the police. The comments were scrolling by so fast I could barely read them. OMG, poor Travis. Women are psycho. Praying for you, bro. Call the cops on that crazy lady. And then I saw Tiffany's comment pinned at the top, I was there, guys. She was acting so erratic. It was scary. We just want Leo safe. I felt like I was going to throw up. Mental health issues? Business dinner? He was rewriting reality in real time. Then my phone rang. It was my mother-in-law, Linda. I made the mistake of answering, thinking maybe she was worried about her grandson. "What have you done?" Linda shrieked before I could even say hello. "Travis is a wreck. He says you stole Leo in the middle of the night. You are a sick, jealous woman, Sarah. You've always been jealous of him because he's beautiful and everyone loves him, and you're just, you." "Linda, he was humiliating me," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "He was comparing me to his ex-girlfriend while I served them dinner. He's lying about everything." "Oh, stop it," she snapped. "Travis told me you were imagining things again. He says you're off your meds." "I'm not on meds, Linda. I've never been on meds," I shouted, losing my composure. "That's a lie he's telling people. Bring my grandson back, or we are calling the police for kidnapping," she hissed. "You are not fit to be a mother if you're dragging a child out into the cold because you can't handle your husband having a social life." I hung up. I was shaking so hard I dropped the phone on the kitchen table. My dad picked it up. He looked at the screen, then at me. "Kidnapping? He's accusing you of kidnapping your own child?" "He's spinning a narrative," I said, my lawyer brain finally starting to kick in through the panic. "He knows I'm the primary earner. He knows the house is in my name. He's setting the stage for a custody battle where he looks like the victim and I look unstable. He wants to prove I'm unfit so he can get full custody and the child support checks that come with it. He doesn't want Leo," my mom said quietly, looking out the window where Leo was happily helping my dad fill the bird feeders. "He's never changed a diaper in his life. He wants the money." "Exactly," I said. "And that's why I can't hide anymore." I walked over to the window. Watching Leo laugh as a cardinal landed on the feeder gave me a surge of strength. Travis had underestimated one thing. He thought I was just the insecure, mousy wife who paid the bills. He forgot that I was a CFO. I dealt with hostile takeovers for a living. I knew how to document everything. "I'm not going back," I told my parents. "And I'm not going to let him control the story." I opened my laptop. It was time to stop crying and start auditing. If Travis wanted a war, he was going to get one. But he was fighting with lies. I was going to fight with receipts. I logged into our joint bank accounts. What I saw made the blood drain from my face. It was worse than I thought. Much, much worse. The office of Mr. Henderson, the divorce lawyer my father recommended, smelled of old leather and expensive cologne. It was a comforting smell, the smell of order and law. But the documents spread out on his mahogany desk were anything but orderly. "Sarah," Mr. Henderson said, adjusting his glasses. "I've gone through the preliminary financials you sent over. And we have a significant problem." I gripped my purse. I know he spends too much. I know the credit cards are maxed out. I'm prepared to pay off the debt just to get a clean break. "It's not just credit card debt," Mr. Henderson said grimly. He slid a piece of paper across the desk. "Are you aware of a withdrawal from your 401k retirement fund 3 months ago?" I frowned. "That's impossible. My retirement fund is locked. It requires my signature for any early withdrawal." "Exactly," he said. He pointed to a signature at the bottom of a withdrawal form for $50,000. "Is this your signature?" I stared at the looping scrawl. It looked like mine. It was a very good practice of mine. But I hadn't signed it. "No," I whispered. "I didn't sign this." "Where did the money go?" "It was transferred to a private account under Travis's name and then immediately moved to a cryptocurrency exchange platform," Mr. Henderson explained. And from what we can trace, that money is gone. The value of the coins he bought tanked last month. He lost nearly all of it. My retirement. The money I had been saving since I was 22. $50,000 vaporized into digital dust because Travis thought he was a financial genius. He forged my signature, I said, the rage building in my chest like a physical weight. That's a felony, isn't it? It is fraud, Mr. Henderson confirmed. But there's more. He slid another stack of papers over. You mentioned this woman, Tiffany? The fitness inspiration? Yes. We hired a private investigator to do a quick sweep of Travis's spending habits, Mr. Henderson said. Look at these transactions from your joint checking account over the last 2 years. They are labeled as marketing expenses for his gym. I looked at the list. Luxe Boutique. Diamond Spa. Elite Travel Agency. Sephora. These aren't gym ads, I said, my voice shaking. No. We cross-referenced the dates. On the day he spent $500 at a luxury lingerie store, Tiffany posted a photo on Instagram thanking her secret admirer for the gift. On the weekend he charged $2,000 for business travel to Miami. Tiffany posted photos from a Miami hotel room. I felt sick. Physically ill. I had been paying for his affair. For 2 years. While I was working late nights, eating cold takeout at my desk, missing Leo's bedtime to secure promotions so we could afford our life, Travis was using my money to wine and dine his ex-girlfriend. He labeled them as business expenses so I wouldn't question them when I did the monthly budget, I realized aloud. I just saw gym marketing and approved it. I trusted him. He's been siphoning money from you systematically, Mr. Henderson said. This isn't just a bad husband, Sarah. This is a con artist. I sat back in the chair, feeling the room spin. I thought about the dinner last night. The way he compared me to her. Tiffany respects her body. You treat yours like a dumpster. Of course she looked good. She was living on my salary. She had the time to go to the spa and the gym because she didn't have a job. Her job was being my husband's mistress, and I was the one paying her salary. I want to sue him, I said, my voice deadly calm. I want to press charges for the forgery. I want full custody. I want him to leave my house with nothing but the clothes on his back. We can do that, Mr. Henderson said. But he's going to fight dirty. He's already playing the victim online. We need to cut off his supply lines before we strike. We need to make sure that when he reaches for a weapon, he finds his hands are empty. Supply lines? Money, Mr. Henderson said. He can't fight a custody battle without a lawyer. He can't hire a lawyer without money. And right now, all the money is technically yours. I nodded. A plan was forming in my mind. Travis loved his toys. He loved his image. He loved pretending he was a rich, successful alpha male. He's driving a Range Rover, I said. It's in my name. I bought it as a gift for his birthday last year because he said it fit the gym's brand image. If it's in your name, Mr. Henderson smiled, a shark-like grin, then it's your car. You can do whatever you want with it. And the utilities at the house? In your name? Everything is in my name, I said. The internet, the cable, the electricity, the water. Then I suggest, Mr. Henderson said, closing the file, that we start canceling some subscriptions. Driving back to my parents' house from the lawyer's office, my mind kept snagging on one detail. Tiffany. Why did she seem so familiar? Not just as the woman from the dinner, but from before. Travis had introduced her as an old friend from high school, but looking at the timeline of the marketing expenses, something wasn't adding up. I pulled over at a rest stop and opened my laptop. I didn't go to bank accounts this time. I went to my old cloud storage. I dug through folders from 3 years ago, back when I was helping Travis try to get his gym off the ground properly. I found a folder labeled Intern Applications. I clicked through the PDFs until I froze. There she was. Tiffany Miller. A resume from 3 years ago. I remembered now. She had applied for a marketing internship at my company. I had interviewed her. She was sweet, eager, a bit down on her luck. She told me she was trying to get into the fitness industry but needed a break. I was the one who told her, my husband runs a gym. He needs help with social media. Why don't you go talk to him? I'll put in a good word. I gasped, covering my mouth with my hand. I had introduced them. I scrolled through my old texts with Travis from that year. Me, hey hun, sent that girl Tiffany over. She's young but seems sharp. Be nice to her. Travis, thanks babe. She's a bit inexperienced but I can mold her. I'll give her a shot. Mold her. The wording made my skin crawl. I kept digging. I went to my old email outbox. I found emails where I had forwarded Tiffany articles about social media strategy, tips on how to build a brand. I had mentored her, in a way. I wanted to help another woman succeed. And how did she repay me? By sleeping with my husband. By letting me pay for her handbags. By sitting at my dinner table, eating my food, and laughing while my husband called me fat. The betrayal hit me harder than the financial theft. The money was just numbers. This was personal. This was a violation of the sisterhood. I had opened the door to my life for her, and she had walked in and set it on fire. My phone pinged. It was a notification from our home security system app. I hadn't cut the internet yet. Mr. Henderson told me to wait until we were ready to strike. I opened the camera feed. The living room camera showed Travis and Tiffany sitting on my sofa. They were drinking wine. I turned up the volume on my phone to hear them. She's not coming back tonight, Travis was saying, kicking his feet up on the coffee table. I think she's actually gone to her parents. Good riddance, Tiffany laughed. God, the house feels so much better without her negative energy. But Trav, what about the money? Her card got declined yesterday. Don't worry about it, Travis waved his hand dismissively. She'll cave. She always does. Sarah is desperate for me. I just need to ignore her for a few days, let her stew in her insecurity. She'll come crawling back, apologizing, probably with a new watch for me as a peace offering. You really think so? I know so, Travis smirked. She thinks she's smart because she has that fancy job, but emotionally? She's pathetic. She needs me to validate her existence. Without me, she's just a lonely, overweight middle-aged woman with a cat. I hold all the cards, Tiff. We just wait. I hope so, Tiffany said, looking around the room. Because I really like this house. We should repaint this living room though. That beige is hideous. Once the divorce goes through, Travis said, taking a sip of wine, I'll get the house. I'll claim I need it for Leo's stability. The courts always favor the parent who stays in the home. Then we can paint it whatever color you want, babe. I stared at the screen. My hands were no longer shaking. My heart wasn't racing. A cold, absolute calm settled over me. It was the calm of a sniper taking aim. He thought I was pathetic. He thought I would come crawling back. He thought he could take my house, my money, and my dignity. You don't hold the cards, Travis, I whispered to the screen. You don't even know what game we're playing. I closed the app. I picked up my phone and dialed the number for the local utility company. Hi, I said, my voice clear and professional. I'd like to schedule an immediate disconnect for all services at 1402 Oak Street. Yes, today. Right now. And please, cancel the internet package as well. Then I called the repo company Mr. Henderson had given me the number for. Yes, I have a Range Rover registered in my name located at 1402 Oak Street. I have the spare key. I would like it recovered and brought to the dealership for sale. Yes, immediately. I started the car. The game was on. I timed it perfectly. I knew Travis's schedule better than he did. Every Tuesday at 5 p.m., he did his fitness Q&A live stream on Instagram. It was his main way of pretending he had a job. He would sit in his home studio, which I paid to soundproof, answer questions from bots, and solicit donations. I sat in my parents' living room with my laptop open, watching his stream. Hey guys, welcome back to the Travis Zone, he was saying, flexing his bicep for the camera. He looked confident, smug. Today we're talking about mental toughness. How to push through when people try to bring you down. He was clearly referencing me. You know, sometimes you have toxic people in your life who just don't get the grind, he preached. They want to hold you back with their negativity. You gotta cut them loose. Suddenly, the video froze. The buffering wheel spun. I smiled. The internet had just been cut. I refreshed the page. He was back, but now he was holding his phone, clearly using his mobile data. The quality was grainy. Sorry guys, technical difficulties, he muttered, looking annoyed. Wi-Fi just dropped. Weird. Then, I heard a sound in the background of his video. A loud, rhythmic beeping. Beep. 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 It was the sound of a heavy truck backing up. Travis looked toward the window. What is that noise? He stood up, walking out of the frame of the camera, but he forgot to end the live stream. I could hear his voice getting distant, then shouting. Hey! Hey, what are you doing? Don't touch that. I switched tabs to the security camera app on my phone. The internet at the house was down, so the indoor cameras were offline, but the doorbell camera ran on a separate battery backup and mobile data. I watched the grainy feed from the doorbell. A massive tow truck was in the driveway. A large man in a jumpsuit was hooking chains to the pristine white Range Rover. Travis burst out of the front door, phone in hand, still streaming to his 100 viewers. Get away from my car, he screamed. This is theft. I'm calling the cops. The tow truck driver didn't even look up. Just doing my job, buddy. Owner ordered a pickup for sale. I am the owner. Travis yelled, his face turning purple. Paperwork says Sarah Jenkins, the driver said, tightening the winch. Are you Sarah? She's my wife. It's marital property. Take it up with the judge, pal. I got a work order. The driver hopped into the cab and engaged the lift. Travis ran after the truck as his beloved status symbol was dragged down the street. He looked ridiculous, chasing a truck in his tight gym shorts, screaming at the air. My phone buzzed. It was Travis. UB***ch, bring my car back. I didn't reply. Then another text. The power just went out. And the water. What did you do? I finally typed a reply. I cut the negativity out of my life, Travis. Just like you said on your stream. Since you're a big, strong, independent man who doesn't need a lazy wife, I'm sure you can pay for your own electricity, internet, and car. Oh, and I froze the joint accounts pending the fraud investigation regarding my retirement fund. Good luck with the grind. I hit send. 10 seconds later, my phone rang. I declined it. I turned to my dad, who was watching over my shoulder with a look of pure satisfaction. He's going to come after you, Dad warned, though he was smiling. Let him, I said. He has no car, no money, and no internet. How is he going to get here? Uber? He can't pay for it. But I underestimated Travis's desperation. 3 hours later, I got a call from Mr. Henderson. "Sarah, we have a complication." His voice was serious. "Travis's lawyer, well, a lawyer he apparently just retained, has filed an emergency motion. They are claiming residency rights to the house." "He can claim whatever he wants, it's my house," I said. "It's not just that," Mr. Henderson hesitated. "He has produced a document. A quitclaim deed. It appears to show that you transferred 50% of the property ownership to him 6 months ago." I froze. "I never signed that." "It has your signature, Sarah. And it's notarized." My blood ran cold. "He forged it. Just like the retirement check." "We know that," Mr. Henderson said. "But until we prove it's a forgery in court, he has a legal right to stay in that house. And worse, he's filing for an emergency order to force you to return the marital assets, meaning the money, to maintain the status quo of the household." Travis wasn't just a leech. He was a criminal. And he had just played a card I didn't see coming. The audacity, I paced around my parents' kitchen, feeling the walls closing in again. He forged a deed? How stupid is he? Does he think forensic experts won't see that? "He's desperate," Mr. Henderson said over the speakerphone. "And desperate people take big, stupid risks. He's banking on you settling. He thinks if he makes this messy enough, you'll just pay him off to make him go away." "I will live in a cardboard box before I give that man another cent," I said through gritted teeth. "Good," Mr. Henderson said. "Now, let's look at this deed. What is the date on the signature?" He sent over a copy. I checked the email attachment on my laptop. Dated June 15th of last year. I stared at the date. June 15th. Why did that date ring a bell? I scrolled through my digital calendar. June 15th. I started laughing. A loud, hysterical laugh that made my mom drop the dish towel she was holding. "Sarah? Are you okay?" "I'm better than okay, Mom," I said, grinning at the phone. "Mr. Henderson, are you there?" "I'm here." "On June 15th of last year, I wasn't even in the country," I said triumphantly. "I was in London for the Global Marketing Summit. I have my passport stamps. I have the flight records. I have photos of me standing in front of Big Ben at the exact time this document was supposedly signed and notarized in Ohio." There was a pause on the line, then I heard the sound of typing. "That," Mr. Henderson said, his voice lightening, "is the nail in the coffin. Not only is the deed void, but he just committed perjury and submitted false evidence to a court. And the notary who stamped this? If they were in on it, they're going to lose their license and face jail time too." "Who is the notary?" I asked, zooming in on the stamp. "Jennifer Wilson." "I know her," I realized. "She's Tiffany's cousin. She works at the bank downtown." "A conspiracy," Mr. Henderson said. "Travis, Tiffany, and the cousin. They planned to steal your house." I felt a chill. This wasn't just Travis being greedy. This was a premeditated plot. They had been planning to take the house from under me for months, maybe longer. They were just waiting for the right time to file the paper. My leaving had forced their hand early. "What do we do?" I asked. "We let him think he's won for about 24 hours, Mr. Henderson plotted. Let him get comfortable. Then, we file the motion with the passport evidence. We don't just get him evicted, Sarah. We get him arrested. We hung up." I felt a surge of energy. I had the winning card. But the emotional toll was getting heavier. How did I sleep next to a man for 10 years who was capable of this? How did I let him hold my son? That night, a storm rolled in. Thunder shook the farmhouse windows. Leo was scared, so I lay in bed with him, stroking his hair. "Mommy, where's Daddy?" he asked in the dark. My heart broke. He's in timeout, baby. He made some bad choices. Is he coming here? No, I said firmly. He's not. Just then, the dogs downstairs started barking. Fierce, angry barks. I heard a car door slam outside. Then pounding on the front door. My heart leaped into my throat. Had he come? Did he steal a car? Was he drunk? I jumped out of bed, rushing to the window. I saw a beat-up sedan in the driveway. A figure was standing on the porch, banging on the door. My dad was already downstairs. I heard the lock turn. I grabbed a baseball bat from the corner of the room, my dad's old habit of keeping one in every room, and ran to the top of the stairs. "Who is it?" I heard my dad yell. "It's Frank," a voice replied. A rough, tired voice. Frank. My father-in-law. Travis's dad. I lowered the bat. Frank and I had always had a distant relationship. He was a quiet man, beaten down by life and by his wife, Linda, who enabled Travis's every bad behavior. Frank rarely spoke up. I walked down the stairs. My dad had opened the door. Frank stood there, soaking wet from the rain, holding a thick manila envelope. He looked 10 years older than the last time I saw him. "Frank?" I asked. "What are you doing here? Did Travis send you?" Frank looked up at me. His eyes were filled with shame. He shook his head. "No," Frank croaked. "He doesn't know I'm here. If Linda knew, she'd kill me." He stepped inside, dripping water onto the rug. He held out the envelope to me. "I heard what he's saying about you," Frank said. "About the kidnapping. And I know about the money. I know what he's like, Sarah." "You do?" "I know because he did it to me first," Frank whispered. 10 years ago. Before he met you." "What is this?" I took the envelope. It was heavy. "Proof," Frank said. "That's his gambling ledger from his 20s. The debts I paid off by remortgaging my house. And his medical records." "Medical records?" "From when we forced him into therapy," Frank said. "Diagnosis: narcissistic personality disorder. Pathological liar." Frank looked at me, tears mixing with the rain on his face. "I can't let him do to Leo what he did to us. I can't let him destroy you, Sarah. You're the only good thing that ever happened to him." I led Frank into the kitchen and made him sit down. My mom poured him coffee, her face soft with pity. I sat opposite him, the manila envelope sitting between us like a bomb waiting to go off. "I thought you were on his side," I admitted. "Linda called me. She threatened to call the police." "Linda is blind," Frank sighed, wrapping his calloused hands around the mug. "She's always been blind when it comes to Travis. He's her golden boy. She thinks the world is just mean to him. She thinks his gym failed because of the economy, not because he never showed up to open the doors. She thinks his debts are just bad luck." "And you?" I asked. "I knew," Frank said. "I always knew. I tried to warn you, in my own way, at the wedding. Remember? He's a show pony, but he won't pull the plow." I remembered. I thought he was just being a grumpy old man. I didn't realize he was giving me a survival warning. "Tell me about the gambling," I said, opening the envelope. Inside were copies of bank statements from 12 years ago. Withdrawals for thousands of dollars. Letters from loan sharks. "He got into sports betting," Frank explained. "Deep. He stole my credit cards. He stole his grandmother's jewelry. We almost lost our house. We paid it off to keep him out of jail. We thought if we saved him, he would change. He never changes, I said bitterly. He just finds a new victim. You were the new victim, Frank nodded. When he met you, and we saw you were successful. I'm ashamed to say it, but I was relieved. I thought, good, someone else can take care of him now. I'm sorry, Sarah. I threw you to the wolves to save myself. It was a hard thing to hear. But looking at this broken man, I couldn't hate him. He was a victim too. And the medical records? I pulled out a thinner file. We sent him to a specialist after the theft, Frank said. Dr. Evans. He said Travis has extreme narcissistic personality disorder. He lacks empathy. He views people as objects to be used. The doctor said he would never get better without intense, lifelong therapy. Travis went to 3 sessions, charmed the receptionist, and quit. I read the doctor's notes. Patient exhibits grandeur delusions, manipulative behavior, inability to accept fault, danger of financial exploitation of loved ones. It was like reading a biography of my marriage. Why are you giving me this now? I asked. This could destroy him in court. Because of Leo, Frank said, his voice cracking. Travis called me today. He wanted money for a lawyer. He said he was going to get full custody of Leo. He said he was going to use the child support to buy a new car. Frank looked up, his eyes fierce. He called his son a paycheck. That's my grandson. I won't let Leo be raised by a monster. I won't let Leo turn into Travis. I reached across the table and took Frank's hand. Thank you, Frank. This changes everything. With the proof of forgery from the passport, the evidence of financial fraud from the bank, and now the history of pathology and gambling from Frank, I didn't just have a defense. I had a nuclear weapon. Will you testify? I asked. If it comes to that? Will you stand up in court against your wife and son? Frank took a deep breath. He looked terrified. But then he looked at the photo of Leo on my parents' fridge. Yes, he said. It's time I stopped enabling him. The next morning, armed with the new evidence, Mr. Henderson filed an emergency motion to dismiss Travis's claim on the house and to grant me temporary full custody based on the immediate threat of financial and emotional abuse. We attached the passport photos proving the forgery. We attached the affidavit from Frank. The court date was set for 3 days later. Travis, of course, didn't know about Frank. He didn't know about the passport alibi. He was still living in my house, with no power, posting on social media about how he was fighting the system. I was done hiding. I was done crying. 3 days later, I walked into the courthouse. I wore my sharpest navy suit. I wore my highest heels. I didn't look like the tired, frantic woman who had fled into the night. I looked like the CEO of my own life. Travis was there with his cheap lawyer. He looked tired. His clothes were rumpled, no iron, no wife to do laundry. But when he saw me, he sneered. Ready to give up, Sarah? He whispered as I passed him. Just sign the check and you can see Leo on weekends. I didn't stop walking. I didn't even look at him. Save your breath, Travis, I said to the air ahead of me. You're going to need it to explain to the judge why you forged a federal document. His face went pale. The doors to the courtroom opened. It was showtime. The courtroom was smaller than I expected, smelling of floor wax and stale anxiety. My heart was hammering against my ribs, but I forced my face to remain a mask of cool indifference. I sat next to Mr. Henderson, my hands folded neatly on the table. On the other side, Travis sat with his lawyer, a nervous-looking man in an ill-fitting gray suit. Travis, however, looked confident. He shot me a smirk, mouthing the words, "It's over." He honestly believed he had won. He believed the forged deed was his golden ticket to half my assets and the house. The judge, a stern woman with reading glasses perched on the end of her nose, shuffled the papers in front of her. "We are here for an emergency hearing regarding the residency and custody of the minor child, Leo," the judge stated. "Mr. Miller, you are claiming that Ms. Jenkins abandoned the marital home and that you have a legal claim to 50% of the property based on a quitclaim deed signed last June?" "Yes, Your Honor," Travis's lawyer stood up, his voice squeaky. "My client asserts that Ms. Jenkins is unstable and attempting to financially ruin him by cutting off utilities to a home he legally co-owns." Travis nodded vigorously, putting on his best aggrieved victim face. "I just want stability for my son, Your Honor." "She disappeared in the night." "Who does that?" The judge turned to Mr. Henderson. "Counsel?" Mr. Henderson stood up slowly. He didn't look at Travis. He looked directly at the judge. "Your Honor, we frankly dispute the validity of the document presented by the respondent. In fact, we are submitting evidence today that proves, without a shadow of a doubt, that the quitclaim deed is a forgery." Travis laughed out loud. A short, sharp bark of amusement. "She's lying," he blurted out. "She signed it at the kitchen table." "Order," the judge snapped. Mr. Henderson walked to the bench and handed over a thick file. "The deed is dated June 15th of last year. It is notarized on that date in Ohio. However, Your Honor, if you look at Exhibit A, you will see a stamped passport and flight manifest." The judge opened the file. The room went silent. The only sound was the turning of pages. On June 15th, Mr. Henderson continued, his voice ringing clear, "Ms. Jenkins was in London, England, attending a business conference. Here are the geotagged photos from her phone. Here is the hotel receipt. Here is the credit card charge for a coffee at Heathrow Airport at the exact time this document was supposedly notarized in Ohio." I watched Travis's face. The smirk didn't just fade, it evaporated. His skin turned a sickly shade of gray. He leaned over to his lawyer, whispering frantically. His lawyer looked at the document, then at Travis, and pulled away as if Travis were contagious. "Mr. Miller," the judge lowered her glasses, her voice dropping to a terrifyingly low register. "Do you have an explanation for how your wife signed a document in Ohio while she was physically located in the United Kingdom?" She. Travis stammered. He looked around the room, desperate. "Maybe I got the date wrong." "Yeah, that's it. We signed it a different day." "The notary stamp is dated June 15th, the judge said, her eyes narrowing. "Are you suggesting the notary also got the date wrong? Or are you admitting to fraud in my courtroom?" "It's a mistake," Travis yelled, standing up. "She's trying to frame me. She probably hacked the flight records." "Sit down," the judge commanded. "There is more, Your Honor," Mr. Henderson added. "We also have a sworn affidavit from Mr. Frank Miller, the respondent's father." Travis froze. He looked at the door, as if expecting Frank to walk in. "Mr. Frank Miller confirms a history of forged signatures and financial theft by his son," Mr. Henderson said. "And he is prepared to testify that his son called him 2 days ago stating his intent to, and I quote, use the boy as a paycheck." Travis looked like he had been punched in the gut. He slumped back into his chair. He knew Frank. He knew his father never lied. The judge looked at Travis with pure disgust. "I am granting the emergency protective order," she ruled, banging her gavel. "Mr. Miller, you are to vacate the residence at 1402 Oak Street immediately. You are granted zero access to the marital funds. And regarding custody, until this matter of forgery is investigated by the district attorney, and I will be referring this file to them personally, you are to have no contact with the child." "No contact?" Travis screamed. "You can't do that. He's my son." You should have thought about that before you committed a felony to steal his mother's house, the judge said coldly. Next case. As the bailiff moved to escort us out, Travis lunged toward me. Not to hit me, but to grab my arm. Sarah, wait. Sarah, please, he begged, his eyes wide and wet. I didn't mean it. It was Tiffany. She made me do it. She said we needed security. I'm sorry. Don't let them arrest me. I stepped back, smoothing my suit jacket. I looked at him, really looked at him, and saw nothing but a pathetic stranger. You made your choice, Travis, I said calmly. Enjoy the grind. I walked out of the courtroom, leaving him pleading with a lawyer who was already packing his briefcase to quit. The victory in court was sweet, but I knew the war wasn't over. Travis was a narcissist. When they lose control, they try to destroy your reputation. He had already started the narrative that I was crazy, and despite the court ruling, his online followers didn't know the truth. They still thought I was the villain. I sat in my parents' kitchen with a cup of tea. I need to clear my name, I told my mom. Not for me, but for Leo. One day he's going to Google this. I don't want him finding videos of his dad calling me a kidnapper. How? Mom asked. You're not going to make a TikTok video, are you? No, I smiled. I'm going to let the facts speak for themselves. I didn't post a rant. I didn't cry on camera. Instead, I contacted a local news outlet that had picked up Travis's viral sad dad story. I offered them an exclusive, the truth behind the viral video. I gave them everything. The redacted court order proving the forgery. The receipts of the gym marketing expenses that were actually lingerie and spa days for Tiffany. The affidavit from his own father. 2 days later, the article went live. The headline was brutal: viral heartbroken dad exposed, forged deeds, stolen retirement funds, and a secret affair. The internet is a fickle beast. It loves a victim, but it loves hating a villain even more. Almost instantly, the tide turned. The comments on Travis's Instagram went from "Stay strong bro" to "You stole your wife's retirement," and "Scammer," and "Justice for Sarah." But the real blow came for Tiffany. I hadn't forgotten about her. She was an aspiring influencer too, trying to build a brand on wellness and positivity. I posted a single update on my own neglected Facebook page, tagging the businesses involved in the marketing expenses. To anyone wondering where my savings went, it turns out my husband's business trips to Miami were actually funding Tiffany Miller's vacation content. Here are the matching dates and receipts. Enjoy the truth. The internet detectives did the rest. They found Tiffany's old posts thanking her mystery man and matched them to the dates I paid for Travis's credit card bills. They found the photos of her wearing the designer bags I unknowingly bought. Tiffany's brand imploded overnight. Her few sponsorship deals with a local tea detox company and a yoga mat brand were publicly cancelled. Her comment section became a war zone of women calling her out for being a homewrecker and a thief. I watched it all unfold from the safety of my parents' porch. It wasn't just vengeance, it was a correction of the universe. Then, my phone buzzed. A text from a number I didn't save, but recognized. Tiffany. You ruined my life. I can't even go to the gym without people staring at me. Are you happy now, you bitter old hag? I didn't feel angry. I felt powerful. I typed back. I didn't ruin your life, Tiffany. I just stopped paying for it. If you want to be successful, maybe try getting a job instead of a husband. I blocked the number. Meanwhile, Travis was in freefall. With the court order enforcing his eviction, he had 24 hours to leave my house. I hired a security team to supervise the move out because I didn't trust him not to smash the walls. My neighbor, Mrs. Gable, called me to give a play-by-play. "Oh Sarah, it's a sight," she whispered into the phone. He's throwing clothes into garbage bags. He's crying on the lawn. And, oh my goodness, is that Tiffany? Is she there? I asked. She just pulled up, Mrs. Gable reported. She's screaming at him. She just threw a protein shake at him. She's getting back in her car. She's leaving him there. I closed my eyes and let out a long breath. Tiffany had realized the money tap was dry. Travis was homeless, broke, and facing criminal charges. He was of no use to her anymore. The love of his life, the woman he humiliated me for, had abandoned him the moment the credit card stopped working. Travis was now truly alone. And for the first time in 10 years, so was I. But while his aloneness was a prison, mine felt like a vast, open sky. 2 weeks passed. The silence from Travis was deafening, but glorious. Mr. Henderson informed me that Travis had moved back in with his mother, Linda. Apparently, Frank had threatened to leave Linda if she gave Travis any money, so Travis was living in their unfinished basement, sleeping on an old camping cot. It was a steep fall from the master suite of the house I bought. I returned to work. My colleagues were incredibly supportive. They had seen the news article. Instead of pity, I got respect. I was the woman who fought back. I was the CFO who audited her own cheating husband and won. One rainy Tuesday evening, my phone rang. It was an unknown number. I usually ignored these, but something told me to answer. Hello? Sarah? The voice was thick, slurred. Drunk. It was Travis. You're not supposed to call me, Travis, I said, reaching for the record button on my phone. This is a violation of the protective order. I just wanted to ask. He hiccuped. Do you remember our honeymoon? Cabo? The sunset? I remember I paid for it, I said flatly. And I remember you spent the whole time flirting with the bartender. I miss you, Sarah, he sobbed. A messy, wet sound. Mom is driving me crazy. The basement smells like mold. I don't have my supplements. I'm losing my gains, Sarah. I look like trash. You called me to talk about your muscles? I asked, incredulous. You forged a deed to steal my house, and you're crying about your protein powder? It was Tiffany, he wailed. She twisted my mind. She said I deserved more. She used me, Sarah. She dumped me. She blocked me on everything. She's dating some 60-year-old guy who owns a car dealership now. She never loved me. And you never loved me, I said. I did. I do. You're my wife. Look, I'm sorry, okay? I said I'm sorry. Can't you just drop the charges? Can't I just come home? I'll cook. I'll clean. I promise. I listened to him beg. A month ago, this would have broken me. I would have thought, maybe he can change. Maybe he's hurting. But now? All I heard was a parasite looking for a new host. Travis, I said, my voice steady. You aren't sorry you hurt me. You're sorry you're uncomfortable. You're sorry you're broke. You're sorry you have to face the consequences of your actions for the first time in your 40 years of life. Don't be like this, he growled, the anger slipping through the tears. You owe me. I gave you the best years of my life. Who else is going to want you? You're almost 40. You're damaged goods. There it was. The mask slipped. I'd rather be damaged and free than perfect and owned by you, I said. Goodbye, Travis. My lawyer will be sending this recording to the judge. That's another violation. Have fun in the basement. I hung up. I walked into the living room where Leo was building a Lego castle with my dad. Leo looked up, smiling. "Look, Mommy! I built a fortress." "It's beautiful, baby," I said, kissing his head. "It keeps the bad guys out," Leo said seriously. "Yes," I agreed. "It does." But the bad guy wasn't done yet. Travis was desperate. And as I learned, a desperate narcissist is the most dangerous kind. He knew he couldn't charm me back. He knew he couldn't bully me financially. So he decided to target the one thing I couldn't simply block or divorce. My son. Travis started a new campaign. Since he couldn't get money from me, he decided to use the court system to torture me. He filed a motion for reunification therapy. He claimed he was a changed man, that he was sober, a lie, and that denying him access to his son was parental alienation. The court system, frustratingly, aims for family unity. Despite the forgery, despite the fraud, the judge ruled that Travis deserved a chance to see his son, under strict supervision. "It's standard," Mr. Henderson warned me. "Unless he physically harms the child, the court will try to facilitate a relationship. We have to allow these supervised visits." I felt a knot of dread in my stomach. I didn't want that man near my son. But I had to follow the law. "Okay," I said. "But I want the strictest supervisor available. And I want it recorded." The first supervised visit was scheduled at a neutral family center, a drab building with fluorescent lights and toys that looked like they had been chewed on by 1,000 anxious children. I wasn't allowed in the room. I had to sit behind a one-way mirror, watching alongside the court-appointed supervisor, a stern woman named Mrs. Higgins. Travis arrived 10 minutes late. He had shaved, wore a collared shirt that looked like it belonged to his dad, and carried a brand new toy truck still in the box. He looked like he was playing a character in a movie about a good father. Leo sat at a small table, looking at the door. When Travis walked in, Leo didn't run to him. He shrank back into his chair. "Hey, buddy!" Travis boomed, his voice too loud for the small room. "Daddy's here. Look what I got you." He shoved the truck toward Leo. "It's a monster truck. Cool, right?" Leo touched the box tentatively. "Thanks. Do you miss Daddy?" Travis asked immediately, pulling out a chair and sitting too close. "I miss you so much. Mommy took you away so fast, didn't she?" Mrs. Higgins pressed a button on the intercom. "Mr. Miller, please refrain from discussing the litigation or disparaging the mother. Stick to neutral topics." Travis glared at the mirror, knowing I was behind it. He forced a smile back onto his face. "Right. Sorry. So, Leo, are you eating okay? Is Mommy feeding you that junk food? You look a little puffy." My blood boiled. He was body-shaming a 4-year-old. "I like Mommy's food," Leo said quietly. "We made pancakes." "Pancakes," Travis scoffed. "Full of sugar. Daddy's going to get you back in shape when you come live with me. We're going to run laps, okay?" Leo looked down at his shoes. "I don't want to run laps." "Sure you do. You want to be strong like Daddy, don't you? You don't want to be soft." Travis reached out and squeezed Leo's arm. "See this? No muscle. We gotta fix that." Leo pulled his arm away. "Don't." I was gripping the edge of the table in the observation room. "He's hurting him," I whispered. "Emotionally. He's bordering on inappropriate," Mrs. Higgins noted, writing on her clipboard. "But it's not grounds for termination yet." Then, I saw Travis reach into his pocket. He pulled out a chocolate bar. But not just any chocolate bar. It was a brand filled with peanut butter. Leo has a mild peanut allergy. It's not anaphylactic, but it makes him break out in hives and vomit. Travis knew this. We had spent hours in the ER when Leo was 2 because Travis fed him a peanut butter cracker by accident. "Here," Travis whispered, leaning in so the microphone barely caught it. "Don't tell Mrs. Higgins. A secret treat for us." He unwrapped the bar and tried to shove a piece into Leo's mouth. "No!" Leo turned his head away. "It has peanuts." "I can't." "It's just a little bit," Travis insisted, pushing the chocolate against Leo's closed lips. "Don't be a baby. A little bit won't kill you. You need to toughen up your system." "Stop!" I screamed, banging on the glass. Mrs. Higgins was already moving. She burst into the room. "Mr. Miller, step away from the child. I was just giving him candy." Travis stood up, throwing his hands in the air. "God, everyone is so sensitive. He's a boy, he needs to learn to handle things. He is allergic to peanuts." Mrs. Higgins shouted. "Visit terminated. You are endangering the child." I ran into the room. Leo jumped off the chair and buried his face in my legs, sobbing. "He tried to make me eat it, Mommy," Leo cried. I told him no. I picked Leo up, glaring at Travis. "You are a monster," I hissed. "You don't care if he gets sick. You just wanted to control him. You wanted to prove you could make him do what you wanted." "He's fine," Travis sneered. "You're making him weak, Sarah. Just like you." Security guards appeared and escorted Travis out. As he was dragged away, he turned and yelled, "This isn't over. I'll get him back. I'll take him away from you." I held my son tight, smelling his shampoo, feeling his little heart racing. I knew then that the legal battles weren't enough. Travis was dangerous because he was delusional. He would keep trying to hurt Leo to hurt me. I needed to end this. Permanently. After the peanut butter incident, the court suspended Travis's visitation rights pending a psychological evaluation. I thought we were safe. I thought the system was finally working. But a piece of paper is just paper to a man who thinks he is a god. 2 weeks later, on a crisp Saturday afternoon, I took Leo to the park near my parents' house. It was a beautiful day. The leaves were turning gold, and the air smelled of wood smoke. Leo was climbing on the jungle gym, laughing, looking like a normal, happy child. I sat on a bench nearby, sipping coffee, finally letting my guard down. I shouldn't have. I saw a hooded figure walking quickly across the grass. He was wearing baggy sweatpants and a dark hoodie pulled low. He moved with an aggressive, jerky rhythm. My stomach dropped. I knew that walk. "Leo!" I shouted, standing up. "Leo, come here. Now!" Leo looked at me, confused. Then he looked at the man. "Daddy?" Leo said. Travis pulled down his hood. He looked terrible. His eyes were wild, his face unshaven, his skin pale. He looked like a man who hadn't slept in days. "Leo!" Travis yelled, ignoring me completely. He sprinted toward the playground. "Come to Daddy. We're leaving." "No!" I dropped my coffee and ran. "Travis, stop. You have a restraining order." Travis vaulted over the playground fence. Leo backed away, terrified. "No, Daddy. I don't want to go." "Shut up." Travis grabbed Leo by the arm, yanking him so hard Leo's feet left the ground. "You're coming with me. Your mom is poisoning you against me. Let him go." I screamed, tackling Travis from behind. I am not a fighter. I have never been in a physical fight in my life. But in that moment, I was a mother protecting her cub. I clawed at his face. I kicked his legs. Travis roared and shoved me backward. I hit the ground hard, the gravel scraping my palms raw. But I scrambled back up instantly. Help! Call the police! I screamed to the other parents in the park. Travis was trying to drag Leo toward the parking lot. Leo was kicking and screaming, "Mommy! Help! You ungrateful little brat!" Travis raised his hand to slap Leo. That was the mistake that ended him. 3 fathers, big men, dads who were pushing swings and watching their kids, had seen what was happening. When Travis raised his hand, they moved. One dad tackled Travis, slamming him into the mulch. Another grabbed his arms. Travis thrashed, screaming profanities, spitting foam. "Get off me! That's my son! It's my property!" Travis shrieked. Property. He called his son property. I grabbed Leo, pulling him into my chest, covering his ears. We huddled on the ground, shaking, while the other dads held Travis down until the sirens wailed in the distance. When the police arrived, they didn't ask many questions. They saw the restraining order in the system. They saw the bruises on Leo's arm shaped like fingerprints. They saw the blood on my hands. They handcuffed Travis face down in the dirt. As they hauled him up, he looked at me. His eyes were empty. There was no charm left. No arrogance. Just a hollow, terrifying madness. "You'll never be happy," he spat at me, blood trickling from his lip. "You're nothing without me." I stood up, holding my sobbing son. I looked him in the eye. "I was nothing with you," I said, my voice shaking but loud enough for him to hear. Now I'm free." They shoved him into the back of the cruiser. I watched the car drive away, the lights flashing against the autumn trees. I sat back down on the bench, holding Leo, rocking him back and forth. The adrenaline was fading, replaced by a deep exhaustion. But as I looked around at the concerned faces of the strangers who had helped us, I realized something. I wasn't alone. I had allies. I had strength I didn't know existed. And the monster was finally in a cage. The wheels of justice turned slowly, but when they crush completely. 3 months after the park incident, I stood in court for the final time. This wasn't a hearing. This was the sentencing and final divorce decree. Travis was brought in wearing an orange jumpsuit. He had lost weight. Without his steroids, his tanning bed, and his expensive haircuts, he looked small. Ordinary. He pleaded guilty. His lawyer, a public defender this time, advised him there was no way out. The assault in the park, the violation of the restraining order, the forgery, the fraud. It was too much. The judge, the same stern woman from before, looked at him with zero sympathy. "Mr. Miller," she said, "you have displayed a shocking pattern of abuse, manipulation, and criminal entitlement. You forged documents to steal from your wife. You stole from your own family. And worst of all, you traumatized your son because you viewed him as a pawn in your game." She cleared her throat and read the sentence. "For the counts of forgery and fraud, you are sentenced to 3 years in state prison. For the assault and violation of a protective order, 2 years, to be served consecutively. 5 years. He was going away for 5 years. Furthermore, the judge continued, Sarah Jenkins is granted sole legal and physical custody of the minor child. Mr. Miller's parental rights are hereby terminated due to the severity of the abuse and the clear danger he poses to the child. Terminated. It was a rare ruling, but the park incident, attempted kidnapping in broad daylight, had sealed his fate. He wasn't just losing visitation, he was losing the title of father. Regarding the assets, the judge turned to the financial settlement. The court awards Ms. Jenkins the marital home in its entirety. Mr. Miller is ordered to pay restitution for the stolen 401k funds in the amount of $50,000, plus interest. This will be garnished from any future wages he may earn. I knew I would probably never see that money. Travis would never work a real job. But it didn't matter. It was the principle. Sarah, the judge addressed me directly. You are free. When the gavel banged, I didn't feel triumph. I felt a massive weight lift off my shoulders, a weight I hadn't realized I'd been carrying for a decade. Travis didn't look at me as they led him away. He kept his head down. There was no final insult. No last attempt at manipulation. He was broken. I walked out of the courthouse and into the winter sunshine. Frank and my parents were waiting for me. Frank looked relieved, though sad. It was his son, after all. But he hugged me. It's the right thing, Frank whispered. He's where he can't hurt anyone anymore. Thank you, Frank, I said. For everything. I went home. My home. I had moved back into the house a month ago. It had been hard at first. The memories were everywhere. But I started reclaiming it. I painted the beige walls, the ones Travis insisted on, a bright, warm yellow. I turned Travis's studio into a playroom for Leo, filled with space posters and Lego sets. I sold the expensive leather furniture Travis loved and bought soft, comfortable velvet sofas. That night, after putting Leo to bed, I sat in my living room with a glass of wine. Not the expensive wine Travis demanded, but a cheap, sweet Moscato I actually liked. I looked at my bank account on my phone. The balance was lower than it used to be. Lawyers are expensive, but every single penny in there was mine. No secret withdrawals. No mysterious charges. I was safe. Leo was safe. The nightmare was over. Now, I just had to figure out who Sarah was when she wasn't surviving. They say the best revenge is living well. But honestly, the best revenge is falling in love with yourself. The first year after the divorce was about decontamination. I had to scrub Travis's voice out of my head. Every time I looked in the mirror, I heard him calling me fat. Every time I ate a carb, I heard him calling me a dumpster. I started therapy. Dr. Evans, a different one, not Travis's, was amazing. He targeted you because you were competent, Sarah, she told me. Narcissists don't target weak people. They target strong people because they want to feed off that strength. He didn't hate you because you were inadequate. He hated you because you were everything he couldn't be. That reframing changed my life. I wasn't a victim, I was a survivor of a parasite. I started taking care of myself, not to please a man, but to please me. I joined a hiking group. I wasn't fast, and I wasn't the thinnest woman on the trail, but I could climb a mountain. Standing at the peak, breathing in the fresh air, I felt strong. My body wasn't a temple for someone else to worship, it was the vehicle that carried me through life. I got a promotion at work. Without the stress of Travis draining my energy and finances, my performance skyrocketed. I was named VP of Operations. I bought a new car, a practical, safe SUV for me and Leo. And Leo? He blossomed. Without the constant criticism and tension, his anxiety disappeared. He stopped having nightmares. He joined a soccer team. My dad coached him. Watching my dad, patient, kind, encouraging, teach Leo how to kick a ball was healing for both of us. Leo was learning what a real man looked like. One Saturday morning, I ran into an old friend from the gym days. Someone who used to run in Travis's circle. Sarah, she waved. Wow, you look incredible. Thanks, I smiled. I was wearing no makeup, just hiking gear, hair in a ponytail. I feel incredible. I heard about Travis, she lowered her voice. And Tiffany. Oh. I hadn't thought about Tiffany in months. Yeah. She tried to pivot to lifestyle coaching, but the internet never forgets. She had to move back to her hometown in Idaho. Apparently, she's working as a receptionist at a dentist's office now. I laughed. It wasn't a malicious laugh. It was just closure. And Travis? She asked. Is he still in prison? Yes, I said. He has 2 more years before parole eligibility. Well, she said. You won. You definitely won. I drove home thinking about that. Did I win? I lost 10 years of my life. I lost my retirement savings. I lost my innocence. But I gained something else. I gained a spine of steel. I gained the knowledge that I can face the worst betrayal imaginable and walk away with my head high. I gained a relationship with my son that is built on truth and safety, not fear. I pulled into my driveway. The yellow house glowed in the sun. My garden, something Travis never let me plant because it was messy, was blooming with tulips. I didn't just win. I evolved. Time moves strangely. Sometimes it drags, and sometimes you blink and 3 years have passed. Travis was released on parole after serving 3.5 years. I was notified by the victim advocacy system. I felt a flicker of fear, but then I remembered the restraining order was permanent. And frankly, I was too busy to be scared. I didn't see him for 6 months. I assumed he had moved away. Then, one Tuesday, I was at the grocery store. I was rushing, grabbing ingredients for Leo's birthday party. He was turning 8. I was pushing my cart toward the car, humming a song, when I heard a voice. Sarah? I froze. I knew that voice, but it sounded different. Scratchy. Weak. I turned around. Standing by the cart return corral was a man wearing a neon yellow vest with the store's logo. He was balding. He had gained at least 50 pounds. His face was puffy and lined with premature wrinkles. He looked like a man in his 50s, not mid-40s. It was Travis. My breath hitched for a second. The ghost of my past was standing right there, wrangling shopping carts in the rain. Travis, I said. My voice was surprisingly calm. He looked at me. I was wearing a tailored coat, holding my car keys to my new Volvo. I looked successful. Healthy. Happy. He looked at his shoes. You look good, Sarah. I am good, I said. I heard you got promoted, he mumbled. That's cool. He shifted his weight, looking uncomfortable. He was holding a stack of carts. The man who used to scream at me if I bought the wrong brand of almond milk was now gathering carts for minimum wage. I'm trying to get back on my feet, he said, a hint of the old manipulation creeping into his voice. It's hard. With the record, nobody wants to hire me. I'm living in a halfway house. That sounds difficult, I said politely, offering zero emotion. I was wondering. He looked up, his eyes searching mine for a crack in the armor. Do you think, could I see him? Just a photo? I don't have any photos of him. He was asking about Leo. I felt a flash of anger, but I tamped it down. No, Travis, I said. You lost that right. Come on, Sarah, he whined, the old tone surfacing. Don't be heartless. I'm his dad. I'm struggling here. Can't you help me out? Maybe a few bucks? Just to get a hot meal? The halfway house food is garbage. There it was. He didn't really want a photo of Leo. He wanted money. He wanted pity. He was still the same leech, just a hungrier one. I reached into my purse. His eyes lit up. He thought he had me. He thought the old Sarah, the one who bought his love, was still there. I pulled out my phone. "I'm not giving you money, Travis," I said. "But I will give you a piece of advice. The manager is watching you from the window. If you keep harassing customers, you're going to lose this job too. And I'd hate for you to violate your parole by being unemployed." His face fell. The hope turned to a sneer. "You're a cold bitch, you know that?" "Yes," I smiled. "I learned from the best." I opened my trunk, loaded my groceries, and got into my car. As I backed out, I saw him shoving the carts angrily, muttering to himself. He looked small. Insignificant. I drove away, and I didn't check the rearview mirror. I didn't need to. He was in my past. And my future was waiting at home, ready to blow out 8 candles on a cake. Leo is 12 now. He's almost as tall as me. He has my eyes and my dad's kindness. We were sitting at the dinner table last night, Christmas Eve. The house was full. My parents were there, older now but still spry. Frank was there too. After Linda passed away 2 years ago, Frank grew closer to us. He comes to every one of Leo's games. He finally stood up for himself, and in doing so, he gained a family. And there was someone else at the table. Mark. I met Mark 3 years ago. He's an architect. He's quiet, steady, and kind. He doesn't have six-pack abs, and he doesn't post on Instagram. But he remembers how I take my coffee. He fixes things around the house without being asked. And most importantly, he loves Leo like his own. Mark raised his glass. To Sarah. For making this amazing dinner. And for being the rock of this family. I blushed. To us, I said. We ate, we laughed, we told stories. There was no tension. No walking on eggshells. No fear that saying the wrong thing would trigger a rage explosion. After dinner, while Mark and Leo were doing the dishes, voluntarily, I sat by the fire with Frank. You heard about him? Frank asked quietly. I nodded. I heard. Travis had violated parole again, drug possession this time. He was back inside for another stretch. He had burned every bridge. Even his old gym buddies had abandoned him. He was a cautionary tale in our small town. I'm sorry, Sarah, Frank said. That you had to go through all that. Don't be, I said, watching the fire. It forged me, Frank. I wouldn't be who I am today if I hadn't gone through the fire. I looked over at the kitchen. Leo was laughing at a dad joke Mark made. He was happy. He was healthy. He was safe. That was my victory. I thought about the woman I was 10 years ago. The woman who made that garlic bread, shaking with fear because her husband invited his ex for dinner. I wanted to reach back through time and hug her. I wanted to tell her, pack the bag. Leave. It's going to be hard, but it's going to be so worth it. I walked into the kitchen and wrapped my arms around Mark from behind. He turned and kissed my forehead. Everything okay? He asked. Everything is perfect, I said. And it was. Not because it was a fairy tale, but because it was real. It was mine. I had built this life brick by brick from the rubble of my divorce. I'm sharing this story not just to vent, but to reach out a hand to anyone listening who feels trapped. I know there are women out there right now, maybe you, sitting in a car, crying. Or staring at a bank account that doesn't add up. Or shrinking yourself to fit into the small space a narcissist allows you to occupy. I know the fear. The fear of being alone at 50. The fear of financial ruin. The fear of breaking up the family. But let me tell you something, you are not breaking the family. You are saving yourself. And if you have children, you are saving them too. Travis called me damaged goods because I was almost 40. He tried to make me feel expired. But let me tell you, life on the other side of 40 is glorious. I have more confidence, more money, and more peace than I ever did in my 20s. Don't let a man, or anyone, tell you that your value is tied to your youth or your ability to serve them. Your value is inherent. If you are being financially abused, start documenting. If you are being gaslit, trust your gut. If you are being humiliated, leave the table. It won't be easy. There will be lonely nights. There will be terrifying legal battles. There will be people who believe the lies. But one day, you will be pushing a cart through a grocery store, and you will see your past self, the ghost of your trauma, and you will realize it has no power over you anymore. You will drive away in your own car, to your own house, to your own life. My name is Sarah. I was a victim. Now, I am free. Thank you for listening to my story. If this story resonated with you, if you've ever had to fight for your dignity, or if you just enjoyed seeing justice served, please do me a huge favor. Click that like button, it helps more women find this story. And please, subscribe to the channel. We are building a community here, a sisterhood of survivors and warriors. Comment "I am strong" below if you made it to the end. I read every comment, and I want to know who my sisters are. Until next time, take care of yourselves. You are worth it. And so, Sarah's journey reminds us of a profound truth: resilience is born not in moments of comfort, but in the fires of adversity. Her story is not just about escaping a toxic relationship, it's about reclaiming her identity, her peace, and her power. It teaches us that no matter how deeply life may wound us, we have the strength to heal, rebuild, and rise stronger than before. At its core, this is a story of self-worth, a reminder that our value is not defined by someone else's approval or mistreatment. Sarah's courage to walk away, her determination to protect her son, and her ability to rebuild her life from the ground up show us that freedom and happiness are worth every battle. It's a testament to the power of self-love and the importance of standing firm in the face of manipulation and fear. What about you? What lessons did you take from Sarah's journey? Share your thoughts below, or simply comment "good" if you found her story inspiring. Let's continue to uplift and empower one another, because we are stronger together.